August 17th, 2020. Well, the buckwheat is nearly fully open in flower. I expect in the next day or two that will start to produce enough nectar that we'll start to see honeybees in here. It's always deceptive because it looks like it's open, and you know, we have flowers, but you know there's no real nectar flowing in there yet because there's no honeybees in it. And as soon as the nectar does flow in it, you'll be amazed. This will turn into a buzz. A few of the things I wanted to point out in this block about cover cropping, mostly. I tried planting sweet clover last year, but the weeds were just so aggressive last year that I ended up having to re-till the block that I planted it into, and so obviously it didn't come through because of that. But I had some sweet clover seed left over from last year. It was enough to plant this block and let the buckwheat be a nurse crop for it. And for those who don't know, sweet clover is a biennial. Basically, you get some growth the first season. Well, it can be used different ways, but this is how it's typically used. You get some growth the first season. The second season, it comes back and flowers. And you know, depending on what you're doing, you can either make a hay crop with it, you can use it for mulch, or you can let it go to seed. It builds tremendous biomass. It's a nitrogen fixer. It has a whole lot of benefits, and maybe I'll even do a video on just that particular variety of cover crop. But my point is, I wanted to go in here and show you where all these little sweet clover are taken off in here. So I guess we'll take a look at this cover crop underneath here. So that right there is sweet clover that germinated in amongst and underneath the buckwheat. And if I zoom you in here, you can see more of it there. And it's spread all throughout the under canopy here. And oh, here's a honeybee coming in. I think she's collecting maybe pollen, I don't know. Well, hello there, honeybee. What are you looking for? Are you looking to scat pollen? These haven't put out pollen yet, honey. You got to go over a block. So this whole block is planted with sweet clover, and when the frost comes along, that'll kill back the buckwheat. The sweet corn will either die when frost comes along or dry down before that. It probably will dry down before that. It's growing pretty rapidly. And then when that crop dies back, that'll leave behind this sweet clover, and that'll give us a little bit of a cover crop up until frosts, up until colder frosts. And then in the springtime, we'll have green growing nitrogen fixing cover crop first thing in the spring. And because I have honeybees, I'm going to let this go to a full flower crop, and then we'll take it to a seed crop, and then I'll have seed to plant more of it and spread it. And then I will use this plot for something else. But anyway, it's really interesting to see how these cover crops work intermixed together. This is my first year starting to really mix cover crops and starting to have a better understanding of using cover crops. While I'm at it, I also did sprinkle a bunch of orange Hawaiian marigold seed down in the edge of this row, and I see that some of those have germinated as well. It's actually a good thing that I came in here to do this video, because I haven't been looking all that closely in this under canopy because it's just so thick. I've just been admiring the block and how beautiful, green, lush, tall, and healthy it is. But it's cool to see that these orange Hawaiian marigolds are popping. I put quite a few seeds down in here. I don't see a lot of them, but I'm glad that some of them germinated, because that'll come through and provide another pollen and nectar source as fall comes on here. And it looks like we did get a decent amount of them that came up. So that's very exciting. Yeah, we're just going to keep working down this a little bit so you can see. There's another one, and another, and still got the sweet clover showing in the understory. And then out on this edge, when I first started foliar feeding this edge, of course, this grass just blew up and started growing. And I came through the first time and mowed it back a little shave. I just wanted to make a little bit of light to get into those germinating sweet clover and orange Hawaiian marigold. But I realized that this was clover, and so I've let off on mowing since, so that this clover can grow in these strips and provide another pollen and nectar source for honeybees. And of course, white clover is an excellent nitrogen fixer as well, and that puts down a taproot about, I think it's about up to 40 inches, I think. And it primarily works in the upper, 6 inches of soil, but it does put it down a decent taproot as well. Anyway, really interesting to see how these multiple crops are working together. It seems to be working really well and functioning as a system. So I'm really excited for that, and I'm excited to see what I can do next year, having gained this little bit of knowledge here. But thought I would just do a close-up and share a few of the closer details that I haven't gotten to until now. And I'll just leave you with a shot of this beautiful sunflower. Look how healthy and happy that plant is. Oh boy. Regenerative agriculture really does make growing an awful lot of fun. Thanks for watching the Pharmacy Seeds Network.